This is Robert with Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division. Glad to bring you the Merchandiser Minute for Friday, October 23rd, 2020. Congratulations on all the field work that y'all have been hard at this week. I know you've made a lot of progress planting small grains, cover crops, and working on your corn and working on your beans. We've had a lot of progress in positive price direction in Chicago and a lot to talk about. I'm going to jump around a little bit for these 7 minutes, but let's start off with looking at how the futures prices closed in Chicago. December corn closed at $4.19 a bushel. That was up 17 cents for the week. We had multiple days this week, 3 days where we had closes near the highs of the day. It still looks that corn is inching up, and has a lot of positive upward momentum building that's really coming now mainly from the demand side as the U.S. corn crop is more than half harvested. November soybeans, a beautiful week, up 33 cents a bushel for the week to close at $10.83. And we did see this week that soybean meal made life of contract highs. And we're in a situation, maybe for me anyway, that it's difficult to see if meal is leading beans or if beans is leading meal. But soybean meal did make life of contract highs this week. And we saw too, again this week, maybe the third week in a row, with soybean meal demand coming back to the United States in a bigger way. There's some issues in Argentina around crush and around those crush processors. I don't fully understand all those issues. Y'all are seeing that information as well, but we have gotten some meal demand back here that would normally be coming from Argentina at this time. So again, beans up 33 cents for the week, and your new crop next year's July wheat contract up 9 cents for the week to close at 6.18. We still have support there coming from Ukraine, Romania, and Russia needing moisture to get crops there sown. I did see one analyst this week mention that as much as 15% of the expected winter wheat acres in that region could not get planted this year if the dry conditions continue to persist. Let's take a look at a few things here. The weekly EIA report was seen this week as bullish for the ethanol industry. We did see ethanol futures rally this week. I think we closed today around $1.50 a gallon on those ethanol futures. So a big rally there this week that's been building for some time, and a bullish weekly report. 92 million bushels of corn ground for ethanol. And backing that up a little bit, remember I took a peek at unleaded gas futures this week, trading between $1.15 and $1.20 a gallon. So remember, it's still tricky from my understanding of all these relationships when ethanol is higher than gasoline. So keep that in mind. Another outside influence this week that has hit multi-year highs. It's been a long time that I've talked about copper and how copper futures are related to global economies, but we do have copper futures at multi-year highs. If you break those futures contracts down and look at it as a price per pound, when we were at the COVID lows, copper traded as low. The December futures contract traded as low as $2, and today it closed right around $3.20. So when copper's flying high, it's showing that the speculators think it's going to be buildings built and copper pipe needed and copper for wiring systems, whether it's in a computer or an electrical system in a building. So that's another positive influence. Mato Grosso, we saw some statistics out of Brazil, the large state in northern Brazil. As of October 15th, in regard to soybeans, they were 11% planted. When you back that up a year ago, they had 47% of the soybean crop planted in that area, that state of Brazil, Mato Grosso. So obviously we know the drought down there. They have gotten rain, and there are more drills and planters going, but they're way behind on getting that crop planted. And we know in Brazil, generally speaking, they like to plant beans first crop and come behind it with second crop corn. So implications here for corn and beans with a late planted bean crop. One of the other big implications is normally China and other world users of raw beans can pick beans up in Brazil as early as late January, but now we know they're going to be at least a month later there in Brazil, so that gives the United States a month longer in our export period, so that's positive for price. We had a wetter week in the Corn Belt. Y'all know about the rain that came and all the snow that came in the upper plains this week. It slowed down harvest out there, and when we look at the USDA numbers this week, we saw Virginia corn coming into the week at 84% harvested, 88's the average. We saw Virginia beans coming in at 18% harvested this week, with 22% as the 5-year average for Virginia bean harvest. Corn for the United States, 60% harvested, and for the United States, soybeans came in at 75% harvested. Both of these are just way beyond the 5-year averages. The crop has gotten harvested, at least the majority of it, in a very timely manner. Export sales, phenomenal this week. Export inspections, phenomenal. I did see one number this week on inspections. That's what the government's expecting, and we're loading out. This week, we loaded out 79 million bushels of soybeans, and the 10-week average is 50 million. So that's a good job for all those folks at the docks getting the boats loaded and the carriers getting the beans there, whether it's rail, barge, or truck. So we're looking for the Commitment of Traders report this afternoon. Going to show a growing long position for the managed money speculator, corn, wheat, and beans. They're as optimistic as they can be that price is going to go higher. Next week, we're going to be looking at end of the month position squaring. If you've got any basis contracts on the November bean futures, we've got to get out of them by next week. Looking for anything about stimulus packages or new developments around the presidential election that might impact your future price. Lots going on in the local basis market for corn and for beans. Please give us a call. This is Robert at Farm Bureau's Grain Division.